Good morning and welcome to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. Nancy Ibrahim is the District Coordinator for ESL, plus Foster Care Liaison and Immigrant and Migrant Coordinator. We'll speak with Nancy in a moment, but first, for the district, the JMCSS podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. You can listen to this episode on demand on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Nancy, welcome to For the District.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So if you all out there in radio land subscribe to the Superintendent Chronicle, you know this past week the conversation was on ESL. And if you're not into education, you may not know what ESL stands for. Nancy, let us know what ESL stands for, and then, for laughs, what people thinks it stands for.
So it stands for English as a Second Language, but oftentimes with that acronym, people seem to think it means English as Spanish language.
But it's not.
No.
English as a second language.
Correct.
Fun fact, there are many different languages spoken by families and students in the Jackson-Madison County School System.
That's correct. We have over 47 languages within our school district.
Let's pause and say that again for emphasis.
Over 47 languages within our school district.
And so, Nancy, when you think about the expansion of industry in Madison County and the growth that is happening and expected to happen, I know ESL classes and these adult classes and opportunities will be very, very important toward getting families plugged in to the Jackson-Madison County School System. Now, I'm going to start where we always start, and this is episode 16. Yeah, episode 16. So did you always know you wanted to be in education? And cheating a little bit, I found out that your mom was a teacher.
Correct. So my mom used to teach in the district, and she taught ESL. And I always had an interest in it, but I didn't pursue that interest until I ended up moving back to Jackson and then ended up working alongside with my mom and teaching ESL.
Nancy Ibrahim is the District Coordinator for ESL, plus Foster Care Liaison and Immigrant and Migrant Coordinator for the Jackson-Madison County School System. Nancy, just saying that title is a lot. Unpack that for us. How do you approach your job as the let's deal with ESL coordinator.
Sure.
What's that about and how do you approach your job?
So my job is to support the ESL teachers and to also make sure in turn that the ESL students are supported. So always seeing where the needs are and making sure that we're getting ESL students the support that they need in the regular classroom and in the ESL classroom.
And so looking back at the stats you shared with me, 85% of ESL students are Spanish speakers. The top languages for English second language in our district based on population, you said Spanish, followed by Arabic and Japanese. So when you look at our school district, where are most of those services offered? What campuses?
So we have ESL in every single school now. There is not a school in the district that doesn't have ESL students, former ESL students, or students that are just being monitored. So every single building in the district has ESL students.
Now, doing a little research, you're a former JCM Cougar.
Go Cougars.
Stepping away just for a moment on the ESL conversation, tell us about your time at JCM and what that meant to you and how it maybe impacts the way you approach your job today.
Yeah, I loved being at JCM. It was the best high school. We had an amazing football team. The school was just amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world.
Now, Nancy, you're a guest, so I'm going to play nice. I'm going to allow you to say that about JCM, of course. A lot of people out there, big Northside fans, big Liberty fans, Southside maybe, but no, it's always fun to talk with JCM graduates, and they kind of talk about the old days and then, the excitement that is happening on the JCM campus. We're visiting with Nancy Ibrahim. She is the ESL coordinator for the district. Also, Foster Liaison. Talk about that for a moment.
Sure. So I work with the state to make sure that any foster care students that we have in the district are receiving the services they need, if they need transportation to other schools, that they're getting that, and that any paperwork that may need to happen, that I'm making sure that I get that paperwork and we're staying in compliance.
And then what does your department look like in terms of size? You told us that, ESL, these English second language supports, are offered at every district, at every school in the district. So what does the scope of that department look like in terms of size?
So the ESL department is myself, and this year we have added on an ESL lead teacher that works for half of the day with me, and that's the ESL department. And then we also have 20 ESL teachers within the department as well.
And I know just from the little bit of research I've been able to do over the last 2 weeks, you all do great work for the system, and then just meeting so many needs and getting families connected. In fact, just the other day, I met a family, a Japanese family. The father works at Pacific. He's an engineer, and just learning how the experience with your department helped them to get better connected there at Thelma Barker. And, I'm told they're, as far as support and engagement, they're right up there with all the other parents. So I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. We'll prepare to head to a commercial here in a bit. As I'm looking at the clock, it's almost time. From your personal story, can you talk about your parents and how that impacted your mom's decision to work in ESL, and then your own decision to be in the district in ESL?
Sure. So my parents were born and lived in Egypt, and then they moved to the United States. And then they had me and my sister, and so my parents were, ESL students, ESL adults, you can say. And so I think because of that, my mom felt that she really had a connection with those students because she understood what they went through. And I also grew up in a home where Arabic was spoken at home, and then, I went to school and spoke English, so I felt like I really was also able to connect with the students as well.
And of course, during that time, I'm sure there were all kind of languages being spoken at JCM.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nancy Ibrahim is the ESL coordinator here for our district. We'll talk more about her work. We'll look through some very interesting statistics, maybe play some guessing games and give you a quick quiz about what makes the Jackson-Madison County school system the unique school system it is for our community. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tadpole, host of the Morning Splash on Froggy 104, and a proud JMCSS parent. My wife and I chose Jackson-Madison County Schools for our kids. Brooklyn is an honor roll student who has found an aptitude for art and is also a member of her school choir. And the twins are getting excellent instruction in pre-K and learning valuable social skills. The kids love their schools and their teachers, and we are very proud to be JMCSS parents. Jackson-Madison County School System is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Hello, I'm Elias, a star student at Arlington Elementary School. You're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the JMCSS podcast For the District. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Nancy Ibrahim. She's the District Coordinator for ESL plus Foster Care Liaison and Immigrant Migrant Coordinator for the Jackson-Madison County School System. Nancy, remind folks one more time what ESL stands for.
So it stands for English as a Second Language.
And so when you think about the number of students in our district that speak a second language, for the folks at home, we're going to see if they were paying attention during the first half of this conversation, and we'll give them a 5-second buffer or so to guess. What group is the largest population in our district of English as a second language.
So
What group? And Nancy, what group?
The Spanish speakers is
Spanish
definitely our
speakers.
largest group. Almost 85% of our students come from a Spanish-speaking home.
And I know the importance of your work is assisting the district in parent engagement, because when the parents are engaged, it's that extra support to encourage the students on their way, but also to make sure that the students are doing their best to make the grade. You know, in your words, parent engagement, and why is that important?
So parent engagement is just the home-family connection. And when you have the home-family connection, that translates over into the school. So when the parents are working at home with the children, then they're learning more and they're growing more as far as their English language abilities.
Okay, so I'm going to ask another question. Give us a 5-second buffer or so for folks to guess. The question being, since August, how many new English as a second language students have we added in the Jackson-Madison County school system? I'll ask that again for clarity. Since August, how many new English as a second language students have we gotten in here at the Jackson-Madison County school system?
So we've added 50 new English as a second language students, and that was only through December. And starting here in January, we expect another 50 to 100 new English learners.
Again, as industries increase here in Madison County, we'll see that number increase. And of course, parent engagement is so important. Talk about the work that some of our ESL teachers are doing. Bridget Turner was one of the teachers spotlighted in the Superintendent Chronicle recently. She's at Thelma Barker.
Correct.
Tell us about her work and what she does there with her families.
So Bridget Turner is the kindergarten ESL teacher at Thelma Barker, and she has also made so many connections with the families. She attends some of their birthday parties, their showers, their weddings, just all kinds of celebrations that they have. There's a festival downtown, like an annual multicultural festival. She goes to support her students at that event. So Bridget has really made a connection with those families and the students.
And then talking about the supports, we have the supports in the classroom, like you just explained with Ms. Turner, but there are also some after-school supports provided to students who speak English as a second language and their parents. Talk about those offerings.
Sure. So, and at some of our schools with larger ESL populations, we have an ESL after-school program for the students. We also have adult English classes for the families of ESL students. And then we also have early intervention classes that are available for those the adults that are in the adult English classes for their kids that are ages 3 to 5. So they're also learning English so that when they get ready to start school at the age of 5, they'll have some English language built up.
Again, it's important to remember, even if the students speak English as their first language, there are barriers that come with teaching and education, because no matter who gets off that school bus, we're tasked with educating them. And so it's really important work that our ESL department is performing for our school system. Nancy, Immigrant and Migrant Coordinator. And I think, the average Jackson-Madison County resident may not realize it, but for a number of different reasons, there are students in our school system that would be considered migrants or from migrant families. Talk about how your department, but also some of our community partners help these families.
So as far as the immigrants, we probably have between 300 to 400 immigrant students, and those are students that have been in the United States for 3 years or less. So they need additional support in comparison to a regular ESL student, because we have a lot of our ESL students, I would say about 70%, are born in the United States, but they're just in a home where another language is spoken. However, with the immigrant students, they are learning a new language, but they've also only been living in the United States for 3 years or less, so the supports they need are even more greater. So we have translations available, we have phone translation system, we have personal translation devices, iPads and all kinds of devices and classes available for immigrants specifically to help support them.
There may be someone out there listening who may have majored in a foreign language in college and want to connect. What would be the process if someone's interested in joining the team?
So as a translator? Mm-hmm. So if anybody speaks, English and another language fluently, we provide contracts. So we can contract with them. So then whenever there becomes a need to translate a document or translate an event, I would reach out to them and we would see if they're available to translate at those events.
And then a question I'm sure you get asked all the time. Do I have to speak a foreign language in order to be an ESL teacher?
No. I would say there's only about 3 of my 20 ESL teachers that speak another language. So you only have to be able to speak English fluently.
Nancy Ibrahim is the district coordinator for ESL plus Foster Care Liaison and Immigrant and Migrant Coordinator for the Jackson-Madison County School System. So when, again, you think about the offerings in our school system, the Jackson-Madison County School System wants to be the community school system. And as the county continues to grow through industry and through residents throughout the community, as a district, we want to make sure that we're meeting all the needs of our families. We're going to take a quick time out and come back for one final segment with Nancy Ibrahim. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson-Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
I'm Nixie. And I'm Annie. And you're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the JMCSS podcast For the District. I'm joined by Nancy Ibrahim, the district coordinator for ESL plus Foster Care Liaison and Immigrant and Migrant Coordinator. And if you've been listening to this episode, which we're checking the notes, this is episode 16. If you've been listening to this episode, you know about the amazing work that our English as a second language department provides for this school system. Nancy, we were talking off camera and you were letting me know about the big event that's coming up in April. Tell us about the Multicultural Festival.
So this will be our 5th annual Multicultural Festival, and it'll take place on April 28th from 5 to 7 p.m. And basically, each of the 20 ESL teachers will have a different country. And when you come into the event, you'll get a passport. And when you go around to those countries and you get food, you do activities from those countries, you learn more about those countries, you'll get a stamp in your passport that shows that you visited that country. And so you're just kind of going around the world.
And so remember, this is the 5th annual Multicultural Festival, April 28th. Several schools are vying for the honor to host this, so you'll have to stick around. Later in the school year, we'll let you know the location, but you can go ahead and save the date. The Multicultural Festival will take place April 28th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., and we will keep you informed on that location when it is determined. I know there are several vendors and community partners that will be at that event. You know, I think about the Jackson-Madison County Public Library. I think about WIC, the WOW Wagon, United Way, and the Reed team. But I know we're also looking forward to expanding the number of food vendors that are there. Talk about that idea.
So we would love if people that say maybe have ethnic restaurants or just, stores, if they wanted to come and provide samples, we could provide them with a table, and they could provide free samples to the families and maybe give out their business cards. And so, to help promote their food businesses as well.
So this is an opportunity, whether in the food business or the restaurant business, if you're interested in being a vendor at the 5th Annual Multicultural Festival. It's JMCSS in our English as a second language department, and it's open for everyone. You don't have to be an ESL family to attend. If you're looking to partner with the Jackson-Madison County School System, you can send an email to comments@jmcss.org. comments@jmcss.org. We'll share your questions and comments with Nancy's department in addition to our family support team. So I know there's the 5th Annual Multicultural Festival coming up April 28th, but Nancy, there's also items throughout the year and opportunities for families to connect. I know there are ESL summer school classes for students and adults, but you all have adult English language classes throughout the school year.
Yes, we have adult classes that will be starting in 2 weeks, and they will take place at Thelma Barker and at Andrew Jackson. And the only requirement is that you're a family member of an ESL student in our school district, and then you will be given a placement test and then placed in whatever level you test into. And we're planning to hopefully next month begin Saturday adult English classes, location to be determined.
And so again, over 1,000 students in the Jackson-Madison County School System speak English as a second language. So not only do we want to thank your department, our ESL team, but also our individual schools who are meeting the needs for families. And talk us through that process, Nancy. When a family that shows up to a school to register, to attend a sporting event, a fine arts, and they may have questions, particularly during the school day, there's a system in place as far as a translation to help these families through technology. Tell us about that.
So whenever you go into any building, the secretaries have been trained. There is a phone translation system, and there should be signs up in every single building. So if you need a translator, they can get a translator on the phone immediately. You just have to let them know what your language is. They'll put it on speakerphone, and they'll be able to communicate with you in the native language.
Nancy, Ibrahim is the district coordinator for ESL, and what we've learned is in a strange, fun kind of way, like many of our principals that have visited us on the JMCSS podcast explained that, their parent was a teacher, or there was a family member who was a teacher and encouraged them to get into education. So it was cool to learn about you following in your mother's footsteps. For the record, you can't call me a Southside homer anymore. We've allowed Nancy to give several shout-outs and compliments to JCM. I didn't try to compare it to Southside. I was an excellent host. But Nancy, we will provide you and give you the last word as we wrap up episode 16.
All right. Well, it was amazing to be on the show. Thank you for having me, and go Cougars.
Okay, you've been listening to the JMCSS podcast for the district on JJ 97.7 FM. Remember, you can check out this podcast, this episode, or previous episodes on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. I'm Greg Hammond, and we'll see you next week.